They didn't tell you this growing up, but you were never just different. You were marked, hand-picked by the divine. Your very presence was designed to expose what others couldn't see. While most people interact only with the physical world, you live in both realms, physical and spiritual. And this is why people can feel your presence before they even see your face. You were not like them. You were sent. And when a sent one walks into a place, spirits take notice. Not because of your looks, not because of your voice, not even because of your actions, but because of what your energy carries. There's a frequency on you that makes every hidden demon start to tremble. Think about it. Why is it that certain? People suddenly shift around you. One moment they're all smiles, and the next they're agitated, avoidant, or suddenly disrespectful for no clear reason. It's because the spirit within them recognizes the spirit within you. And those two can't coexist peacefully. You walk in peace. But peace is confrontational to those who are internally tormented. You carry light, but light exposes what's been growing in the dark. You operate in truth, and truth makes liars uncomfortable. You don't even have to try to discern. Your energy naturally scans the atmosphere and reveals what's real. You are like spiritual sonar when you enter a space. The fakes can't help but fumble. The masked can't help but twitch, and the spiritually bound can't help but manifest. Ever noticed how people start confessing around you? You didn't ask, you didn't probe, but they just start talking, admitting things they wouldn't tell anyone else. That's not because you're easy to talk to. That's because the presence on your life stirs up what's been buried deep. Your presence demands truth. Even children and animals pick up on it. A baby might cry around someone they sense is spiritually off. A dog might bark or get nervous when an energy conflict is present. And when you're around, the spiritual realm gets stirred. You are a disruptor of darkness. This is why your presence feels intense to some. It's not that you're aggressive, it's that you're authentic, and that's rare. You shine so brightly that anyone hiding something can't help but squint. It's not you they hate, it's what your energy reveals. You are a mirror to the soul, and not everyone is ready to see their reflection. Sometimes you feel misunderstood. You try to be kind, loving, humble, but still, people react strangely. That's because they aren't responding to you, they're reacting to what's inside of them. Your spirit agitates what they've buried. Your energy isn't something they can pretend with. That's why people either love you deeply or they avoid you entirely. There is rarely an in-between. Some are drawn to your light because it gives them clarity, healing, and warmth. Others reject it because it unmasks them, exposes them, and makes them face their own demons. But here's what you need to remember. None of it is your fault. You're not too much. You're not intimidating. You are anointed. And that anointing comes with spiritual side effects. Your energy is a weapon against deception. That's why the fake can't stand near you for long. That's why the manipulative lose control when you're in the room. That's why those who serve darkness often feel like they're suffocating when you walk in, because they are. Your energy was designed to confront what others conceal. It doesn't just reveal spirits. In others, it activates discernment in those around you too. Have you noticed how, when you're in someone's life, they start seeing people for who they really are? That's not coincidence. Your presence upgrades atmospheres. It brings clarity. It reveals motives. It causes hidden agendas to rise to the surface. This is why some people suddenly fall away from your life. They didn't just leave you exposed, something in them they could no longer mask. And instead of changing, they chose to flee. That's not rejection, that's revelation. You revealed what they were never willing to confront. And hear this, the enemy has always known who you are, even before you knew. That's why you've been fought since birth. That's why you were targeted early, why people lied on you, gossiped about you, tried to make you shrink. Because if you ever embraced your full power, the darkness knew. It wouldn't be able to hide anymore. You've never just been going through things. You've been warring. Because your light is costly. Your clarity is dangerous to darkness. Your truth is like a blade, cuts through illusions and reveals what's real. You're not just revealing. Spirits in pebble, you're pulling the masks off systems, off culture, off environments that were built on deception. You see too clearly, and that makes you a threat. But here's the truth. You were built for this. You were chosen not just to see but to withstand the backlash that comes when you reveal. When hidden spirits are exposed, they don't just sit still, they react, sometimes violently, sometimes silently, but they always respond to being revealed. And this is where many chosen ones begin to feel the real pressure. Because now that the truth has come to the surface, you're not just a light, they see you as a threat. That's when the warfare starts to intensify, not just in your external world, but in your mind. The whispers, the self-doubt, the strange fatigue that doesn't make sense. It's all an attempt to shut you down before you step fully into your spiritual authority. You must realize this. When you start exposing things spiritually, you shift the power in a room. And that terrifies spirits that have long controlled people silently. They've operated undetected for years, sometimes even generations. But your arrival changes that. Your presence rewrites spiritual agreements that others made without knowing. That's why certain people will suddenly start accusing you of things that don't make sense. Why your name might come up in lies. Why people who were once close now turn cold. It's not just people, it's what's operating through them. Spirits feel endangered by your ability to see through their disguise. And instead of repenting or healing, some choose resistance. And yet, you're still required to walk in love. That's the part most don't understand. You are uncovering strongholds, but you are not given permission to become bitter. You are revealing darkness, but you're still called to radiate peace. That balance is what separates the chosen from the called. You're not just reacting, you're assigned. The reason your energy exposes things is because it carries the blueprint of heaven. You walk in alignment with truth, so anything built on lies crumbles in your presence. You're not trying to read people. Your spirit is simply incompatible with anything false. And no matter how polished the outside may look, what's buried inside can't hide from you. This is why people say something about you feels different. Why they feel nervous or awkward even when you're quiet. They can't explain it, but their spirit knows it's being seen. You're looking at them, but it feels like your soul is watching theirs. And in many ways it is. God has given you a radar. Not for control, not for pride, but for protection and assignment. Some spirits you're meant to expose, others you're meant to confront, and some you're meant to deliver. That's why you feel such a pull to certain people. It's not always about friendship. Sometimes it's spiritual intervention, but you've got to be wise. Not every spirit that shows itself is ready to be cast out. Some are just announcing their presence because they know they've lost control. They're reacting to your light, but they're still stubborn. And if you're not spiritually prepared, they'll try to drain your energy through distraction, emotional manipulation, or false intimacy. This is why discernment must walk hand in hand with discipline. You don't entertain every cry for help. You don't engage every conflict. Some things are sent to bait you, to get you emotional, to make you question your purpose. You've got to move with precision now, because your spiritual sensitivity is increasing and your assignments are getting weightier. You're not here to save everyone, but you are here to expose what others refuse to talk about. You bring conversations to the surface that people try to suppress. You reveal dysfunction that others normalize, and because of that, you may often feel alone. But understand this: isolation is part of the activation process. God separates those He elevates, not because you're better, but because you're being prepared. You have to hear Him clearly, without the noise of other voices in your ear. You have to be able to detect not just who's around you, but what's operating in them. And that requires silence, solitude, and spiritual sharpness. And let's be honest, it's heavy sometimes. You feel things deeply. You sense shifts before they happen. You can walk into a place and feel the atmosphere shift in your chest. You can meet someone and know they're hiding something, even when they're smiling. It's exhausting at times, but it's a gift. You're not paranoid. You're prophetic. You're not dramatic. You're discerning. You're not sensitive. You're spiritually tuned. And in this next season, you won't just be revealing spirits. You'll be walking in spiritual authority to command them. The revealing stage was just phase 1. Now, God is calling you to steward your discernment with action, to no longer be shocked when spirits show themselves, but to be ready to deal with them. Some things can't stay in your space anymore. Some people will fall off without warning. Some opportunities will close because they were never pure to begin with. Don't mourn what walks away after you walk in. That's the natural order when a spiritually clean vessel enters a toxic room. The darkness either transforms or it exits. This is your confirmation. You were never crazy for noticing the shift in people, for hearing what wasn't said, for feeling what others couldn't. See, that was your training, and now the battlefield is shifting. You've been tested, refined, purified through fire. And what's coming next will require everything you've learned in silence. You are a spiritual breaker. You were born to shatter chains, to confront generational curses, to disturb demonic patterns that have lingered quietly in families, communities, and systems. Your voice is a weapon. Your presence is a declaration of war in the spirit. And you're not going back to blending in. Let them react. Let the spirits tremble. Let the masks fall. That's not your burden, it's your assignment. Being fulfilled. Your job isn't to stay comfortable, it's to stay faithful. Because what's revealing itself around you is proof that you are exactly who God says you are. The hidden can't stay hidden around you anymore. And the more you grow into this awareness, the stronger your authority becomes. You are no longer the silent observer. You are becoming the spiritual force hell was hoping you'd never awaken to. They tried to suppress you, to make you doubt your gift, to make you shrink into silence. But now that you understand why spirits manifest around you, you're unstoppable. Now that you know who you are and why everything reacts to you, it's time to stop hiding from your own anointing. You were never meant to be small. You were never built to be silent. The reason your presence reveals spirits is because you carry dominion, and it's time to walk in it. This is not the season to shrink back. This is the season to speak boldly, move intentionally, and confront anything that's been hiding in plain sight. You're not called to coexist with darkness, you're called to displace it. When you show up, what was tolerated must be challenged. What was hidden must be revealed, and what was normal must now be uprooted. You're not just chosen to notice the spirits in a room, you're chosen to shift the climate of the room. When you open your mouth, your words carry fire. When you touch something, it carries restoration. When you pray, heaven moves. You may not have always understood this power, but now it's waking up inside of you. That authority doesn't come from pride. It comes from purity. You paid for it in private, in the tears, in the rejection, in the lonely nights where you cried out for answers. And now those experiences have become the oil on your life. That oil is what makes demons tremble when you speak. That oil is what causes things to break without effort. That oil is why your very existence stirs things up. You've been through too much to still act like you're ordinary. That false humility has to go. The enemy doesn't care if you're nice, he fears when you're obedient. You can be sweet and still be a slayer of spirits. You can be kind and still shut down every demonic scheme with one word from heaven. You can walk in love and still dismantle strongholds. With your presence, you are both gentle and powerful. You are both compassionate and unshakable. You are both a healer and a destroyer, healing what's holy and destroying what's demonic. This dual nature was placed in you by design, and the more you embrace it, the more unstoppable you become. You were never made to fit into systems. You were born to break cycles. That's why you could never settle into the crowd. You've been marked since birth, and that mark is what activates the supernatural every time you move. This is why spirits can't stay hidden around you. You are a walking collision between heaven and earth. Every step you take shakes spiritual foundations. Every word you release sends ripples into unseen dimensions. You were never designed to operate by natural rules. You are governed by a higher order, a higher kingdom, a higher law, and because of that, the enemy is terrified not just of your presence, but of your awakening, because now you see it clearly. Now you understand the patterns. Now you recognize the shifts. Now you discern what others ignore, and now you move with revelation. That's the most dangerous version of you, the one who understands that when someone gets irritated for no reason, it's not about you, it's the demon in them panicking. The one who discerns that a compliment laced with flattery is often a distraction in disguise. The one who doesn't second-guess the warning in your spirit. If the outside looks innocent, you've trained your spirit to pay attention. And now you're ready to not just observe, to act. This is what the enemy hoped would never happen. That you would get stuck in cycles of confusion. That you would keep doubting your own discernment. That you would stay questioning whether you're hearing from God. But not anymore. Now you understand that when your spirit feels stirred, it's time to pray. When someone reveals their true energy, it's time to respond with wisdom. When an atmosphere shifts, it's time to take spiritual authority and command peace. You are no longer reactive. You are proactive. You walk into rooms already aware of what's present. You don't wait for the storm to come, you command the weather before it arrives. That's what happens when the anointing matures. And you, chosen one, are stepping into that maturity. This is why God had to separate you, to teach you how to trust the voice inside over the noise outside, to stop looking for confirmation from people who can't even see their own demons, to silence the doubt long enough for you to realize you were right the whole time. Now you move differently. Now you pray with purpose. Now you speak with weight. Now your silence even carries presence, and the spirits around you know it. That's why the warfare feels different. That's why some relationships crumbled without warning. That's why people started distancing themselves when you got serious about your walk. They weren't just leaving, they were exiting because their assignment in your life was up. Their mask couldn't survive your glow. Their spirit couldn't manipulate your discernment. And now they're gone, not as a loss, but as a sign. The chosen are never truly abandoned. They are cleared for the next level, and the level you're stepping into now isn't just about exposure. It's about establishment. Now that you've revealed the hidden, it's time to build what's holy. You were meant to establish purity, to model what real integrity looks like, to speak life in a culture obsessed with death. You're not just revealing spirits, you're replacing them with divine order. That's why the final phase of your assignment isn't to destroy, it's to plant. You're being called to plant seeds of truth where deception once grew. To plant healing where trauma once lingered. To plant freedom where bondage had roots. And your authority to do that is proven by what you've survived. Every spiritual attack, every demonic scheme, every battle you faced just for being you. It wasn't random, it was training. And now that you've come out refined, you carry what others desperately need: unshakable clarity. Clarity that exposes, clarity that cuts, clarity that convicts, clarity that brings transformation. So the next time you feel the air shift, don't shrink, stand taller. When someone starts to act strange around you, don't question yourself, pray with fire. When things start to fall apart after your arrival, don't assume it's your fault. It's your assignment activating. The atmosphere doesn't lie, and your energy is the signal that every hidden thing must come into the light. So walk boldly, move with precision, listen deeply, and trust your gift, because whether the world acknowledges it or not, you are walking proof that the spirit realm is real, and your energy is the revealer. That's why demons can't hide around you. That's why spirits manifest when you enter the room. That's why your presence disrupts the fake, exposes the proud, and draws the hungry. You are the living answer to prayers that were whispered in silence. You are the response to darkness that thought it had one. And your time to operate in full authority has arrived.